Hi, I am Kevin Ioli from Yahoo Sports, and my pleasure now to have, I think, the best fighter in the world, certainly in the top three, no worse than the top three, but I have him as the Yahoo Sports pound-for-pound best fighter in the world, Terence Bud Crawford. Terence is fighting Amir Khan April 20th on ESPN pay-per-view at Madison Square Garden. How are you, Terence?
Doing great.
You were not used to going out and doing all these interviews before the fights when you're selling a pay-per-view. Just out of curiosity, as you're getting ready for this, is it different for you because you're hawking a pay-per-view now? I know you've had one pay-per-view before, but this is really a big event that you're trying to sell tickets to. Did it take some adjustment to get used to doing all this?
Not really. Everything's basically been in camp. A lot of ESPN and over the seas, camera crews have came to camp and videotaped me and interviewed me, so pretty much everything been smooth.
You know, you're one of the rare guys. I mean, as I said, I have you as the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world. We had you as the 2017 Yahoo Sports Fighter of the year the boxing writers had Lomachenko. I just thought you had a great year that year. But you're still not like a Floyd Mayweather or a Sugar Ray Leonard. And so can this fight be the coming out party for you where people say after this fight, oh, my God, I got to make sure I see Bud Crawford fight next time?
Well, it's a start. You know, everybody going to have different opinions about the type of opponents that I've fought. And, you know, they're going to critique them and say, oh, well, this fighter is this fighter is that. But, you know, before the fight, everybody was saying this is the toughest fight of my career. So I just keep doing what I'm doing, and that's winning in spectacular fashion, and the rest will follow through.
We're going to get into Amir Khan later, and I'll ask you if you think it's the toughest fight of your career. But I wanted to ask you something a little different because, you know, you grew up in Omaha and had a really difficult life. And I know you're tough because not only can you take a punch, you got shot in the head, and you're here to talk about it. But the rapper Nipsey Hussle was murdered recently. And I wonder, first of all, did you know him? Were you a fan of his music at all?
Well, I didn't know him personally. I was a fan of his music, though.
I was, looking at some of the lyrics of his songs, and, one that stuck out, it made me think about you, right? Because he talked about I'm grinding. And I just want to read you this and see if you feel it's like an accurate representation of what you've been through. He said, all my life, been grinding all my life, sacrificed, hustled, paid the price. Want a slice, I could roll the dice, that's why all my life I've been grinding all my life. Look, I'm married to this game, that's who I made my wife. Said I'll die alone, I told that probably right. One thing that's for sure, not a stranger to this life. And it seems to me like, you're kind of married to boxing. I mean, you really have put in the work behind the scenes that people don't know about to get to this point.
Yeah, of course. I've been boxing since I was 7 years old. I can remember riding my bike to the gym in the rain, the snow, and having my coaches give me a ride back home. There's so much to this game that a lot of people don't know. Like, I used to have to put two wires together in my Mystique, to get some heat, which really wasn't really no heat, and just to go to the gym. And at the gym that we used to go to at the time, it didn't have no heat in it, so we was down there in the freezing gym trying to put on layers and layers of clothes just to stay warm. I remember my son crying because it was cold and he had to come to the gym with me because his mom had, work or school. Right. So, it was tough coming up.
What was it that made you want to go through all that? I mean, the boxer's life under the best of circumstances, an Olympian, a gold medalist who comes out and is, rich and famous right at the beginning. It's a tough life. Right. Why would you put yourself through that? What was it about boxing that you love so much?
Well, that was my always dream, was to be a world champion. I never wanted to be an Olympic gold medalist. I always wanted to be a world champion. So my drive and my passion was always boxing. And to credit the naysayers, the ones that said I couldn't, make it out of Omaha and that I never was going to be shit. So I really wanted to prove them wrong.
Yeah, there's not a lot of great fighters that have come out of Omaha. There's other places in the country that have produced a lot of fighters. But you're proof, basically, that if you have the desire and a little bit of tenacity, that you can make something of yourself.
Correct.
Let's talk about your early days, because I remember I was covering a fight in Detroit. Tim Bradley was getting ready to fight Devin Alexander. And I've had a great relationship with Tim Bradley for a long time. And I remember sitting with him at a press conference at the Pontiac Silverdome, I believe it was, and he said to me, "You're not going to believe this fighter I'm sparring with." And he goes, "The guy is better than Devin," and Devin at the time was really highly rated. He says, "And I guarantee you he's a better fighter than Devin." I said, "Well, who is it?" And he said, "Well, he's only 7-0. You probably don't know him."
Right.
I said, "What's his name?" "Terence Crawford." And he just said, "You could have been a world champion at that stage." What do you recall of those days sparring with Bradley, who was a big star at the time, a world champion at 140, and a guy on the move up in the sport?
Yeah, when I had sparred Tim, it was crazy because like we was really going at it, and like he basically was like, "I don't need no other sparring partners, I just need to spar him." And I remember the first day, I probably did like 4 rounds, and he was just like, "Wow, man, where you come from? Like, who you signed with? Like, who your manager?" And I was just like, "Cameron, my manager." He was like, "Oh, all right." So then the next day,
Cameron Duncan, by the way.
Yeah, Cameron Duncan. So then the next day, we working out. He come and get me, and then we gonna follow through and spar the next day. So I believe that day we did like 11 rounds, and he was just like, "Man, you ain't no sparring partner."
Yeah.
He was like, "Man, you a world champion." And I was looking at him like, and he was looking at me like, I'm dead serious. And he was like no laugh, like, "Man, you a world champion." He was like, "You ain't no sparring partner." So.
Did you have the mentality before, or did he kind of open your eyes to how good you really were?
No, I believed in myself because before I ever got out there, they was wanting to pick somebody else because they said I was too small and, they didn't want me to go out there and get hurt. And I took offense to that. So Bomac told him, like, give him 1 day. If he don't impress you in that one sparring match, then send him home the same day. And so they was just like, all right, because I guess he broke somebody's rib or something, and he was sending sparring partners home. So they was like, all right, we're going to try him out then, because he needed to sparring. So the first day, Monica was like, there's something different.
Tim's wife.
Monica Bradley. She just looked at me and was like, there's something different about you. And this is on the way to go meet Tim. He was at the track at the time. And then I was just like, what? She was just like, I got a feeling that you're not just here just to get a check. I looked at her, I was like, nah. It's like, he ain't about to just beat me up. Like, I'm about to go out there and do my thing. And so she started smiling and stuff. And when I met Tim, everything was like, I knew him already. It was crazy. And so when we sparred, he was so impressed. He wanted to buy me out my contract. And it was just like,
amazing. How much, even though you believed in yourself, how much did it help you to have a guy that was one of your peers, one of the best fighters in the world at the time, speaking that highly of you? Did that have any impact on you and help make you the fighter that you ultimately became?
Of course. It gave me the confidence that I already had, but it just boosted it even to another level. And then the things that Tim have, taught me along the way of sparring him. I learned a lot of things from Tim just by the little 2 camps that I was there with him, that helped me, in my boxing career and in my arsenal. Like, we'll always talk about, how our sparring went or what we did to adjust to each other, because each day was different. Like, we just kept adjusting to each other. So I was learning on the fly, and the things that I didn't know, he was teaching me at the same time. So, who's to say, how far I would have took certain things without being in that predicament.
I've covered boxing for over 30 years, and I can say without a shadow of a doubt that Tim Bradley is one of the finest human beings I've ever met in sports, in those 30-plus years. He mentioned to me in talking about you back in 2015, he said that he kind of took you under his wing outside the ring as well. And, you lived a rough life in Omaha, and, I mentioned you had been shot in the head and you'd gotten in fights and in trouble and stuff. What about outside the ring? Was he more important to you even outside the ring in terms of helping you? Because now you're known, you're doing a lot of charity, you do a lot of different things. Did Tim have an impact on, kind of showing you the right path to go down?
Oh, of course. Tim stayed in my ear. Even when I wasn't in his training camp, he'll call me, check up on me, ask me how I was doing, ask me, am I taking care of my money, am I doing the right things, not overspending and, you know, investing. Like Tim always wanted me to walk that straight path, you know, and leave all the bull crap alone because, you know, it wasn't going to end up good for me. So, you know, he stayed in my ear and I listened to him, you know, because, you know, he took me in his house. You know, he took me to my first Green Bay Packer game, and that's my favorite team. So, you know, I really looked it up to him like a big brother.
You know, I talked to your sister when you were 18. She told me a story that you competed in an amateur tournament in Venezuela, and she said you went with a whole bunch of clothes and gear. And when she came to pick you up at the airport, the only clothes you had were what you were wearing. And she said you gave your clothes away to people. And she said she asked you, where are your clothes? And you said, oh, I met all these boxers and they were poor. They needed it more than I did. As you're 18 years old, so there had to be something inside of you at that point that, you know.
Well, when we went to Venezuela, like that wasn't any national fight. You know, you got the Cubans, you got the Venezuelans. Yeah, they win them gold medals, but they don't have anything. You know, they want to trade you whatever for your clothes, for your shoes. You know, just so they can have things at home. And the stuff that I had wasn't nothing nice. So, you know, here, y'all can have this stuff. Y'all need it more than I needed.
That's amazing, though, that, you know, you have that kind of, you want to give everything away. And then you went on a trip with one of your old school teachers. You went to Africa and you helped people in Uganda and I think Rwanda, right?
Right.
You were in. Talk a little bit about that, what impact that had on you, because I know that, you know, you were eating sardines.
No, oysters.
Oysters. Okay. I knew it. And they said, no, eat what they prepare. Tell that story about, you know, how you kind of had to get with the program over in Africa.
Well, I took a big thing of oysters and crackers and like chips, candy, and stuff like that for me to eat the whole time that I was there. So I already planned everything, and I was just like, I'm not eating here. Like, I don't
What was
trust
the food they had?
They have chicken and everything, but they got the chicken where they go catch it in the backyard and they gonna cook it right there in front of you. So it was just like, I'm like, nah, I'm cool. So I didn't eat like the whole time I was there. And the driver, Joe, he was just like, hey, you know that's disrespectful for them to prepare the meal and to do all this for you and to thank you and to greet you. And you say no to him. He's like, even if you don't like it, just act like you like it, you know, just to show your appreciation. Like, they back there working real hard to please you.
Right.
And I was like, man, they don't gotta do that for me. Like, I don't want to eat. He was just like, he gave me that look. I was like, all right. And I ate it, and it was cool. It was good. And he looked at me. He was like, see. It's like, yeah, you know, but, you know, that was a learning experience for me.
But your reason for being there wasn't to just go meet people and eat the chicken they cooked. You were actually doing what, building wells and whatnot?
Right. Well, we was going to the villages that needed water the most. We was building wells there. We took some beds to some abducted girls that was abducted from Joseph Kony that escaped. Right. We went to this program called Cows for Peace, where in the genocide, where
in Rwanda,
the neighbors was killing each other, and then they figure out who was doing the killing, and then now they friends and they share a cow till the cow have a calf. It was crazy, and I was just like, there's no forgiveness in the world that I can forgive somebody for killing my family. And it was just a wake-up call, like, with time, like, you can forgive anybody. Because if they can forgive this man for coming over here and killing his whole family, then you can forgive somebody for something as little as stealing from you or something.
And so in your case, I mean, you grew up in a rough environment, yet you see that and how poor those people were and how willing they were to change. So that obviously led you to see, hey, my life can change too, right? I don't have to be the same way.
Right, yeah, because I'm the type of person that always hold grudges, and that was a wake-up call, like life too short to hold on to little things. Like, those people out there have nothing. When I say nothing, it's like the water bad, the food, is like if you don't have your own garden and your own chickens and your own food, like it's hard living. And those are the people that you would say middle classmen got money, that have their own, chickens and stuff like that. But yeah, it's hard. But at the same time, they so happy.
Right.
And you'd be like, dang, like you so happy with nothing. And you come to the United States and we have everything, but we so miserable.
Right.
I say, man, it's crazy, like where do y'all find that happiness at, and it's crazy.
So you found it yourself though now. So you're a happy guy with your life.
I've been happy with my life, but not to the point where they at.
Yeah.
They on a different high. But at the same time, they struggling and not to say people in the United States is not struggling just as bad, but it's more opportunity here than what they have there.
You have a big opportunity on the 20th at Madison Square Garden against Amir Khan. I mean, I don't know if he's the best opponent you face, but he's certainly the most well-known. He got a silver medalist in the Olympics. He's been a world champion. He's done a lot of things. He's fought a lot of really good fighters. I've had you as the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. Some people have Lomachenko. Some people have Errol Spence as well. Does it mean a lot to you? You smile when I mention Errol Spence. Does it mean a lot to you for to have that recognition to be introduced in the ring as the pound-for-pound best in the world? Is that something that motivates you to make people recognize you that way?
Well, I recognize myself as the number one pound-for-pound. So it don't matter what the next person thinks. Like I said earlier, it's all about opinion. Mm-hmm. Everybody have an opinion. It really doesn't matter. You could say, oh, he's number one, and the next person could say, no, he's number one, but then it's going to go back and forth. But it really doesn't matter. You don't get no trophy for it. You don't get no extra money for it. Like, it's just a label.
It's an ego boost, certainly, and athletes have egos.
Yeah, but like I said, it's an opinion.
Yeah.
Like you just said, one of the three.
Right.
You say you got me number one, and some people got Canelo, some people got Errol, some people got, Triple G up there. It doesn't matter.
Who do you have as number one? Besides, let's take yourself out of it. I know you think you're number one, so we're in agreement on that. Who do you think is the best besides you?
I never really sit down and
because you're a student of boxing.
Yeah, I never really sit down and think about it. Like everybody always asks me my top five, and I tell them the same thing. I never sat down and critiqued the top five spots. There's a lot of great fighters out there in today's boxing world. Everybody do their thing, and I just stay in my own lane.
Well, there's going to be a lot of comparisons between you and Spence because he successfully defended his IBF welterweight title. You have the WBO welterweight title up against Amir Khan. What was your impression of his performance against Mikey Garcia? Good, bad, indifferent?
He did good. He boxed real well. I think Mikey Garcia thought he was going to come in there and just try to bully him, and then he was going to catch him with a shot that he didn't see, but he did what he had to do to get the job done, and he looked good doing it. What
is the biggest problem Amir Khan would present? I mean, I from the outside looking in, he seems like he's a fairly quick guy, and he has some punching power. I mean, he hasn't had a knockout over an elite guy in quite a while. I think he knocked out Phil LaGreco, but I think you really have to go back to maybe Zab Judah before he knocked out somebody that was a world champion caliber fighter. What's your take on him? What's his strength? What's his weakness? And how do you break him down?
Well, everybody knows he's fast. He moves real well. He can box real good, and everything else I don't know. I haven't been in the ring with him yet, so
You can't tell on tape by watching him?
Tape is different.
Or even ringside?
Yeah, it's different. It's different because a lot of people, they can watch me and say, oh, well, he's not as good as I thought he was. And then they get in the ring with me and be like, whoa, this is different than I could have imagined. Because when I seen him fight, looking outside on the inside is different until you in there in that square circle.
You have the ability, better than maybe anybody I can think of, ever since I've been watching boxing, to switch southpaw and conventional. How difficult do you think that is for an opponent when they know that you could fight 12 rounds left-handed or 12 rounds right-handed? Is that difficult, do you think, for the other guy, and does that create issues for them in their camp as they try to get ready for you?
Well, it's just preparation. You know, it's going to be tough because you don't know what style I might bring to the table. You know, and I'm always suggesting. So if one side don't work, maybe the other side don't work. If the other side don't work, then we're going to resort to something else. If that don't work, then we're going to resort to something else. So it's not like you can just plan for just one side of Terence Crawford. You know, you got to prepare for like 6 different fighting styles.
What is the strength of the right-handed Terence Crawford versus the left-handed Terence Crawford? What are you as a left-handed fighter that you're not as a right-handed, and vice versa?
I'm even.
You're what?
I'm even.
Even? Seemed to me like you maybe punch a little harder with that right hand. Like you don't have quite the same pop on the left side as you do on the right. Maybe you disagree. I don't know.
I'm even.
You're even. Okay.
I'm gonna just say I'm even.
Let's finish up with this.
I probably got more knockouts with my left than my right, though.
Do you?
Yeah.
You got a lot of knockouts, so that's impressive.
Yeah.
Let's finish up with this. I mean, you know, you've been asked. You know, I asked you a little bit about Spence. That's the big fight that people want to see if you get past Amir Khan. How frustrating is it for you to sit there and know you have all these guys out there that you could prove yourself against and show how great you are? And those fights are very difficult to make, and they haven't been made at this point in your career. You almost fought Louis Collazo, who was a good fighter a number of years ago, but he's not the same guy now in this fight. Is that a frustration to you that, you know, it's difficult to get the elite guys in the ring?
Sometimes it's frustrating, but that's not my job to stress over things that I have no control over. So I just do my job, and that's fight and train and fight anybody they put in front of me. You know, the best opponents.
You voice your opinion, though, don't you?
Yeah, of course, you know, but I can't be too stressed over things that I can't control. You know, like the Manny Pacquiao situation. I stressed over that for many of years, and you see we never got that fight handled. So I'm not going to stress over if I fight Spence, if I fight GARCIA, if I fight Thurman, those type of fighters. I'm not going to stress it. You know, as long as I'm making a living for my family and I'm doing what I'm supposed to do as a fighter, then I'm not going to stress it, because I done a lot of in the boxing game that a lot of people haven't. I'm a two division unified champion, Ring Magazine undisputed fighter of the year. You know, I got so many accolades, you know, that I've accomplished in the professional boxing that I'm comfortable. I'm good with how my boxing career turned out. So if your career
would unfortunately end if after the Khan's your last fight, you don't have any regrets about not seeing those other guys?
Not at all. Not at all. I didn't move up 2 divisions. Not at all.
Let's wrap with this. Give me, why should people buy this fight? What are they going to expect to see out of you? How's the fight end on April 20th?
Fireworks. I think, you know, you got one hungry fighter in Amir Khan that's coming to take everything away from me, you know, and that's a dangerous fighter when you don't have nothing to lose. And then you got me, everything to gain, and, you know, can't afford a step back. So I think, you know, that's going to make for a lot of fireworks. You know, I feel like Amir Khan's training hard. He's going to bring it. You know, I'm definitely going to bring it. And I see myself winning the fight, hands down. I don't see Amir Khan, you know, boxing his way through this fight. Like, I feel like a lot of people is, discredit in me and my speed and my boxing ability and just talking about how fast he is. Like, they talked about Postal and his jab, and they see me take away his jab, and all they said was all Terrence jab and his movement. So I feel like, this is going to be another fight that I could showcase a lot of different skills that I have.
Awesome. Good luck to you, Terrence. Appreciate it. Terence Bud Crawford, the best fighter in the world,
Yeah.
at least according to one person.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.